The blue light of my phone screen felt like ice against my face in the darkened living room. It was 9:17 p.m. The text had arrived 3 minutes ago, but I'd let it sit, the notification a glowing scar on the otherwise black screen. It was from Clara, my wife of nearly 10 years. The message was simple, almost insultingly casual. "Hey honey, so sorry, can't make it tonight, something came up at work. Don't wait up. XX." I stared at the words, each one a tiny, precise stab. It was the 6th time this month. The 6th time our plans, a quiet dinner, a movie we'd both wanted to see, even just a night in with a bottle of wine, had been torpedoed by that vague, infuriatingly dismissive phrase, "Something came up." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. A year ago, I would have replied with a barrage of questions. "What happened? Is everything okay? Do you need me to bring you food?" 6 months ago, it would have been a single frustrated question mark. Tonight, my fingers moved with a calm I didn't feel. My reply was even simpler than her text. "All good, honey. See you when you get home." I placed the phone face down on the polished wood of the coffee table. The 2 steaks I'd bought, prime cuts from the fancy butcher downtown, were marinating in the kitchen. A bottle of her favorite Cabernet was breathing on the counter. The candles were unlit. Our home, usually a sanctuary of warmth and shared laughter, felt like a museum exhibit of a happy marriage. All the pieces were there, but the life was gone. Clara and I had been the couple everyone envied. We'd met in college, a whirlwind romance built on late-night study sessions and shared dreams. We built our lives from nothing, supporting each other through grad school, crappy first jobs, and finally, success. I'd co-founded a successful tech startup with my best friend Julian, and Clara had risen to become a senior partner at a prestigious marketing firm. We had the beautiful house, the 2 nice cars, the life we'd always talked about. But somewhere in the last year, the foundation had begun to crack. It started subtly. The phone that was always angled away from me. The hushed conversations that ended the moment I walked into a room. The new, expensive lingerie she'd bought, but that I'd never seen her wear. And the work emergencies, always on nights I'd planned something special. My mind, trained to find patterns in code and data, couldn't ignore the mounting evidence. The variable, love, in our equation was being corrupted. My heart screamed at me to confront her, to demand answers. But my head, the cold, logical part of me that had made me successful, urged caution. An accusation without irrefutable proof was just an argument, and I was tired of arguing. I needed data. I needed the truth, no matter how ugly. Our 10th anniversary was in 3 weeks. I had been planning the surprise of a lifetime, a 2-week trip to the Amalfi Coast, where I was going to surprise her with a vow renewal ceremony on a cliffside overlooking the sea. I'd already put down the non-refundable deposits. The thought of that gesture, that grand declaration of my undying love, felt like a bitter joke now. Was I planning a celebration of our marriage, or its lavish funeral? I decided the anniversary would be my deadline. I would spend the next 3 weeks not as a husband, but as a forensic investigator of my own life. That night, after she finally came home well past midnight, smelling faintly of a man's cologne I didn't recognize, and exhaustion she claimed was from a brutal brainstorming session, I began my work. I started with our shared phone records. It was pathetically easy. A single number appeared with alarming frequency, always late at night, always with long call durations. I didn't recognize it. A quick search online linked the number to a burner phone service. A dead end, but a telling one. People don't use burner phones to coordinate marketing campaigns. Next, I checked our credit card statements. There were charges from restaurants I'd never been to, bars in neighborhoods we never frequented. And then I found it. A recurring charge for a room at the Chamberlain, a boutique hotel downtown known for its discretion. The charges lined up perfectly with her late nights at work. My breath hitched. This was it. This was the tangible proof. But who was he? My mind raced through a list of her colleagues, old friends, gym acquaintances. The not knowing was a special kind of torture. I felt a surge of cold fury replace the gnawing sadness. I wasn't just a victim, I was a problem solver, and this was the most critical problem of my life. I bought a small, high-end GPS tracker, and, one morning before she left for work, I secured it deep within the undercarriage of her car. The first ping that evening showed her car parked at her office. But at 7 p.m., it started moving. It didn't head home. It went downtown, straight to the address of the Chamberlain. My heart hammered against my ribs. I watched the dot on my laptop screen, a cruel, blinking beacon of my wife's betrayal. An hour later, another car arrived and parked next to hers, according to the satellite view. I ran the license plate of the new arrival through a public records database I had access to through work. The result hit me like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. The car was registered to Julian, my business partner, my best friend since we were teenagers who dreamed of building an empire together, the man who had been the best man at my wedding, the man who had held my sobbing mother at my father's funeral. Julian. The world tilted on its axis. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was a demolition. Every shared memory, every laugh, every moment of trust was instantly incinerated. The photo on my desk of the four of us, me and Clara, Julian and his wife Amelia, on a ski trip last winter, seemed to mock me. We all looked so happy. Amelia. My God, Amelia. She was sweet, kind, and completely devoted to Julian. Did she know? Was she living in the same fool's paradise I had been? For a moment, I wanted to destroy everything, to drive to that hotel and tear them apart with my bare hands. But a chilling, crystalline clarity washed over me. Rage was messy. Rage was temporary. I wanted justice. I wanted to reclaim the narrative. They had written this disgusting story behind my back. I would write the final chapter, out in the open. The Amalfi Coast trip was canceled. I took the financial hit. The money would be used for a different kind of production. I spent the next 2 weeks meticulously planning my anniversary surprise. I called Amelia. It was the hardest phone call of my life. I laid out the evidence calmly, factually. I sent her the screenshots, the location data, the hotel receipts. Her silence on the other end of the line was punctuated by a single, shattered sob. We were partners now, united in our shared heartbreak. She agreed to be part of my plan. The night of our 10th anniversary arrived. I had told Clara I was taking her somewhere special. She seemed genuinely excited, perhaps mistaking my calm demeanor for blissful ignorance. She wore the red dress I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary, a cruel twist of the knife. I drove us to Vivere, an absurdly expensive Italian restaurant with a month-long waiting list. I had booked their most exclusive private dining room. When we walked in, Clara gasped. "Mark, how did you get a reservation here?" "I have my ways," I said, smiling a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Only the best for you, my love." For 10 years. We were seated. The room was beautiful, filled with flowers and candles. A few minutes later, the door opened, and Julian and Amelia walked in. Clara's face went white. Julian looked like a deer in headlights. "What a coincidence!" I boomed, standing to greet them. "Julian! Amelia! So good to see you! I had no idea you'd be here." Amelia played her part perfectly, feigning surprise. Julian stammered something about a last-minute cancellation. Clara just stared at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and confusion. I insisted they join us. It's our 10th anniversary. We must celebrate together. The dinner was a masterclass in tension. I was the perfect host, regaling them with stories of our early years, of the struggles and the triumphs. I toasted to friendship, to loyalty, to partnerships that stand the test of time, looking directly at Julian as I raised my glass. He could barely meet my gaze. Clara just picked at her food, silent and pale. Finally, it was time for the main event. For our 10th anniversary, I announced, standing up, I wanted to do more than just give a gift. I wanted to create a memory. So, I put together a little slideshow, a look back at our incredible journey. Clara forced a weak smile. Julian shifted uncomfortably. I clicked a small remote in my hand, and a hidden projector screen descended from the ceiling. The first few photos were from our wedding, young, happy, full of hope. Then came pictures from our travels, our first home, Christmases with family. With each photo I narrated, my voice filled with fake emotion. "And here we are building our lives," I said, as a photo of our house appeared. "A foundation of trust." "And here," I continued, my voice hardening slightly, "is where we started to build new things. New partnerships." The next image was a screenshot of Clara's text. "Can't make it tonight. Something came up at work." Then another, and another. 6 in total. The room was dead silent. Then came a photo of Clara's car parked outside the Chamberlain Hotel, followed by a photo of Julian's car pulling up beside it. Clara let out a small, strangled gasp. "You see, Clara, you kept saying something came up, and I, being the problem solver I am, got curious about what that something was. It turns out something was my best friend." The screen then flooded with everything. GPS logs. Screenshots of their explicit texts that I'd recovered from a shared cloud backup she'd forgotten about. Hotel receipts with Julian's name on them. It was a systematic, brutal dismantling of their lies. Clara was openly weeping now, her face in her hands. Julian was ashen, staring at his wife, Amelia, who looked at him with nothing but cold, quiet contempt. "So, I'd like to propose one final toast," I said, my voice ringing with a terrible calm in the silent room. "To the end of things. To the end of our marriage, Clara. And to the end of our business partnership, Julian. You're fired, by the way. The board was very interested to see the evidence of you embezzling company funds to pay for your extracurricular activities." I slid a manila envelope across the table towards Clara. "Those are the divorce papers, already filed. Our assets have been separated. My lawyer will be in touch with yours." I turned to Julian. "And you'll be hearing from my lawyer too, and Amelia's." I placed my napkin on the table, took one last look at the woman I had loved for a decade, and the man I had called my brother, and I walked out of the restaurant without looking back. The sounds of their ruined lives were a symphony to my broken heart. 3 months later, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment in a new city, overlooking a skyline I was just beginning to learn. The divorce was final. The company was mine. The pain was still there, a dull ache where my old life used to be, but for the first time in a long time, I felt the clean, sharp air of freedom. My phone buzzed. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize at first, but it was Amelia. "Just wanted to say thank you, and to see if you're okay." I looked out at the rising sun, at the promise of a new day, and for the first time, I knew the answer was true. I typed my reply, "I will be."